Welcome to the NFL Kickoff. I'm your host, Tom Fuller, joined by my co host.
Tony Nemetti.
Our job is to get all of you in the audience ready for the upcoming weekend of NFL action. We're going to go over every single game and give you our picks, our thoughts, our analysis, and just talk about all the crazy nonsense that'll probably go on as every single one of our picks is wrong. But first, a quick word from our sponsors who sponsor us despite us getting everything wrong. I guess that kind of works for them because we probably hand over a lot of money. NFL Kickoff is presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. Are you looking to bet on the 11th week of NFL action? This week, the Dallas Cowboys head to Arrowhead to take on a surging Chiefs team in a game that could be easily the game of the season. Check out the link in the description to get a deposit match up to $1,000 through DraftKings and the Sports 2.0 network. As we always do on kickoff, we're going to start with Thursday Night Football, which was actually one of the more boring Thursday Night Footballs in a season where Thursday Night Football has been pretty kind to us, all things considered. The Patriots calmly rolled to a 25-0 win. Mac Jones, he dropped back 26 times, had 22 completions for almost 200 yards, a touchdown, and an interception. The Patriots ended up rushing for 134 yards, which helped them to control the clock, control the ball, and just run the Falcons out of their own building. Tony, we both had the Patriots, not just because they're the better team, but also because I think it'd be crazy too with the context of 28-3. Which in a cruel joke, 28 minus 3 is 25, and that's exactly what the Patriots won by. So I think that happened for a reason. Is there anything we can take away from this game though, other than we know that the Patriots are better than the Falcons, because that feels like the only thing you could take away in such a blowout. Does this game make you think that the Pats are the best team in the AFC East, or is it inconclusive because it's just such a big margin?
I'm kind of thinking so. It seems like the Patriots are continuing to heat up at the right time here. Going into the year, I thought the Patriots would go back to being a really good-looking team, and I honestly have never really been of the opinion that Tom Brady was responsible for the Patriots' success more than Belichick was, and I continue to stand by that. I do think that we didn't really see them be super dominant at the beginning of the season because if you remember, in 2020, they had the most COVID opt outs. So they had all those guys coming back. They took out a whole year of football. They're going to have to remesh with the team. On top of that, this was also the biggest offseason we've seen from the Patriots in forever. I can't remember the last time they went out and got this many guys, spent this much money to make this team better. So they essentially had a completely different team from last year. And kind of like Tom said last week, it usually takes just a defense 7 to 8 weeks to like really adjust and kind of get into the swing of things. So we're now in week 11. The defense looks good. Mac Jones has looked great. I saw a stat that Mac Jones has more wins than all the other rookie quarterbacks combined.
And that was
That
before
is,
last night.
and that was before last night. So that is absolutely amazing. I do think that Mac Jones has been phenomenal. He's played the system perfectly. He really has been Tom Brady again. Like if you look through at, Mac's first starts versus Brady's first starts, they've both been great. And I think with the defense coming into their own, we could see a very Brady-esque start to Mac Jones's career here. I don't want to say Super Bowl, but I don't want to rule them out either because they are heating up at the right time, and I think that is a possibility. So with Mac looking more comfortable every week, defense solidifying, this team is really starting to cook.
Yeah, Mac Jones is third in the NFL in his completion percentage. He'd be second, but he's 0.1% behind Dak Prescott and about 2.5% behind Kyler Murray, who leads the league in completion percentage. I mean, he's played phenomenal. I did not have him being nearly this good in his first year. It really is a credit to not only Bill Belichick and that staff for coaching him, but to Mac himself. My criticism with Alabama quarterbacks is always that you're 7 yards open. I could make a throw into that window. Can you make a throw into windows where they basically don't exist? And he can. He stepped up. Now, granted, Atlanta's not a great metric by any means to tell if you're good offensively speaking. But, I mean, against the Browns, he absolutely lit them up in a defense that we saw really stuffed the Bengals. So, I think he's good. Earlier when we did our award show, we said Jamar Chase was going to be Offensive Rookie of the Year, and that was pretty far and away. Like, he's the clear candidate for Rookie of the Year, period. Has Mac changed that conversation?
Mac has definitely worked his way into it, and it's been not just because Mac has been great, because Jamar Chase has really fallen off. The past couple of weeks, he hasn't put up those amazing numbers that we've gotten used to seeing from him, which sucks because I now had to bench him on my fantasy team, and he was a big point scorer. So that was cool. Thank you, Jamar. But I do think that Mac has worked his way back in there. I don't want to give it to one over the other yet. I think they're kind of neck and neck for me right now. If this trend continues, though, Mac's got to have it by the end of the year.
Yeah, no, I mean he truly is a phenomenal player, and he's also improved so drastically from like week one where they played the Dolphins and that Patriots offense. I think the Patriots offense that we've seen now would go back and absolutely destroy the Dolphins in week one. So there's you know what I mean, like the
Yeah,
team has improved by that much.
there's definitely been an evolution of the team, and I do think that uh, I watched the first episode of Brady's documentary Man in the Arena last night, and one of the things that I kind of think Mac Jones doing so well right out the gate and how he's already really looking to come into his own in the league. I think this kind of discredits Brady a little bit because this system is clearly like, I don't want to say it's easy because it's hard to learn, but it's easy to execute, if that kind of makes sense. Like, it's a lot of shorter stuff. Granted, Mac Jones has been going a little bit deeper in recent weeks, which we didn't see from Brady all that much in the final years of his career in New England, but they haven't been that. They've been far and few between those deep passes. So I think it's been a lot of easy stuff. And seeing Mac Jones perform so well now kind of discredits Brady a little bit because it's like, well, is he so great or is he just in a very, very easy offense, which he's also kind of in with the Bucks again?
I definitely get what you're saying. I think that what I would say is not that Brady isn't talented. I think that it takes a very talented and intelligent quarterback to run that. I just think that I do give Belichick more credit for, I think you said it last night, actually, building Brady, right?
Yeah.
Like Brady is now kind of autonomous and independent, but, he built Brady and he's clearly
Belichick
building Mac.
I think Belichick is more responsible for the Patriots' success than Tom Brady, personally.
Yeah, I mean, when Brady won the Super Bowl, right, that's winning the battle, but Belichick has a team that's 7-4 and could very easily win the war.
Yeah.
I'm not lying when I think the Patriots are primed to win a Super Bowl in the next 5 years with the defense they put together. The fact that they have a cheap quarterback who's clearly doing well. I mean, if you didn't get off to the slow start, some of the stats he's been putting up, you could genuinely think maybe about having him as a Pro Bowl nom if you look at the past just couple of games as opposed to his rocky-ish start.
Yeah.
On the flip side, let's go over to the Atlanta Falcons. They're something like they're kind of a sad story. Not that I don't think anyone was expecting a playoff run by them by any means. I know we had them being the worst team in the NFC South. Being close to the Panthers. My Zelo model currently has them at 6 wins, so they'd be 6-11. Does that sound right for where this team is headed?
I would say, if anything, they might get 1 or 2 extra wins, but this is not a playoff team. I mean, we saw, granted, the Patriots, Bill Belichick, fantastic defense. So on the one hand, yes, the Falcons, maybe they're a little bit better than this because this is one of the premier defenses in the league. So kind of like we can't really say that winning 25-0 against the Falcons is super impressive. We can't say that, not scoring a lot against the Patriots is not that impressive because it's the Patriots. They have a good defense. Now, scoring 0, that is an issue. They threw 4 interceptions, no touchdowns between all of the quarterbacks that they have on the roster. Their third string went 0 for 1 with 1 interception. That's the worst possible stat line imaginable.
I think it's just the fact
that
I think what's worse than that is that every single quarterback threw an interception. Not 1, not 2, but 3 for 3, and the Patriots were laughing.
Yeah, and it's not even like any of them redeemed themselves with a touchdown either. Like, it's not like Matt Ryan went 2 touchdowns, 2 picks. It was just 0 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Yes, this Patriots defense is great, but at a certain point, this Falcons team is just not going to go anywhere. 4-6 is honestly fairly optimistic for this team as of right now, based on how they've been playing. The only bright spot I have seen is Kyle Pitts does kind of look to be coming into his own very slowly. I do think he has the potential to maybe a year or 2 down the line develop into a very, very, very strong, maybe red zone tight end would be his best spot just because he's so tall.
So I don't even know if I think he's going to be fantastic tight end overall. I don't know if I'd say red zone though. I think he's just such a great tight end from a mismatch perspective more than anything else.
It's like Gronk. That's best in the red zone when you're like, within 10 yards and you can just throw the out route to him and just throw a high ball.
I think he's faster than Gronk, no, right?
He is faster.
probably a little bit leaner than Gronk too, right? Like he
Yes.
physically looking at him, he plays the tight end position while simultaneously being a receiver. It's almost unfair to call him a tight end or a receiver. Like his position is Kyle Pitts.
Yeah, he's a football player. He's like Cordero Patterson. He doesn't
Exactly.
play a position. He just plays football.
Do the Falcons have more? He plays football instead of like having players than any other team in the league.
I mean, they have two. I don't know of any other player other than Taysom Hill that can
I was
really
gonna
be
say, yeah,
qualified
Taysom Hill.
as a player that can do a bunch of stuff and
I'm
routinely
trying to
does with success.
because I'm trying to think.
I
Maybe
mean,
Derrick Henry because he has a limited stint at quarterback.
I guess, yeah. I mean, I guess if you want to count dual threat running backs that also can catch well, like Aaron Jones comes to mind for me, just for example. He catches and can
Yeah,
run.
but he's more of like a designated running back where like you know what I mean. Like,
They've
but you can
actually
have
started
like
splitting them out in the slot
I was gonna say
quite a lot pretty recently.
no, he can. He's a good slot weapon, but like I think primarily you put him at running back. But
Yeah.
with Cordero Patterson, God only knows where he could be quarterback, and I would be like, oh yeah, it's Cordero Patterson.
Yeah, it's
Like,
Cordero
just what
Patterson. Why not?
He does.
Yeah.
He does that. He does
Put
that
him on the
from
field
time
as the
to time.
kicker. Why not?
You know what? Yeah, if they had a really bad kicker, I could actually see them doing that. Thankfully, like their one bright spot is that they have a Pro Bowl caliber kicker.
That's true. Young Wei Koo.
Yeah, I
He's so
absolutely love
good.
him. I think I have him on one of my fantasy leagues, and he's just an absolute gem.
He's awesome.
Yeah, he's probably my favorite kicker, just in the league, just because like I remember, like feeling so bad for him when I think he missed a game-winning field goal against Kansas City or game-tying field goal last season, and it's like been fun to kind of watch him bounce back from that. He's a pretty good kicker.
He's been great.
Yeah, a lot of fun. Oh no, I have to say my favorite is Rodrigo Blankenship. I love Rodrigo Blankenship.
Oh yeah, dude, he gets drafted that same night. He's playing with Legos. How can you not love the guy?
I love him. I read an article about. I think it was an ESPN article. It made me fall in love with it made me fall in love with him, and I wish that like the Panthers had drafted him or something. Great guy. I love Rodrigo Blankenship.
Good guy.
All right. But yeah, so the Falcons hang it up, unimpressed. I don't know.
That's really it. I mean, I don't
yeah.
think this is too much of a surprise. This is like when the Patriots beat the Jets.
Yeah, I mean, I guess my question would be, if you're the Falcons front office, do you blow it up? Like, when do you move on from Matt Ryan? Like, you're wasting his career. He's clearly not making you a better team. Like, at some point, blow it up and build around Cordell Patterson and Kyle Pitts, or are the issues mostly on defense? Like, and I know I'm saying that, but like, they don't have anything else on offense.
They don't have much on offense, but they're definitely worse on defense. So I think you can start either place. Like, it's, if you want to start on offense, cool. If you want to start on defense, cool. The other, like, you're going to need to get to both eventually. So I don't think there's a certain spot that's like, well, you have to get your defense sorted out first. You can do either one because they both really need the work. I honestly think they should have traded Matt Ryan last year, because last year he still had some value.
That was one thing we agreed on last year, was that they should have taken a quarterback as opposed to Kyle Pitts.
Because last year Matt Ryan was still a good quarterback. I think he got slept on because the team wasn't very good, but I do think he was still a good quarterback. This year, I don't think he's that bad. He had a bad game last night. He's not terrible, but he is decreasing in value every year. So you should have traded him when you had the value out of him, because he is aging. He's not getting any younger. So you should have taken a quarterback last year. There's like no good Quarterbacks going. Is Matt Corral? Is he the only one that I've really seen that's coming in that's got any hype around him?
Yeah, I mean, there were so many guys at the start of the season, but you're absolutely right. Like, I honestly, I was looking at a mock draft. There wasn't a quarterback taken until 8, I think.
Yeah, it's just insane. They had like DNs and stuff going before, which DNs are very valuable, of course. But in today's league, taking a DN over a quarterback in the draft
it's crazy.
shows that it's a very
unthinkable.
weak. Yeah, it's just such a weak quarterback draft class. So if you're a team that needs a quarterback, I'm gonna guess we see a lot of trades and we see a lot of free agency rather than drafting stuff.
We're going to see a lot of
bode well for the Packers with the whole Rodgers controversy.
No kidding. So I guess if you're not to look at the draft way too early, but like this is the primary example of take talent and caliber of player over fit. If you really need a quarterback, but there's a DN who's you think could be generational, take the generational DN, because the quarterback probably ain't going to cut it. So if Matt Ryan were cut next year, I believe he would have an $8 million dead money hit. So it's not great for a team that's already in a cap salary crunch. So you're right. I think it's probably, you need to get him off the books. He is valued at 140 by Zelo, so that is, still an above average quarterback. So I think, like, I honestly think he does have value. I'd be fascinated to see if he goes to the Packers. Like if
No way.
if Rodgers leaves and you're not sold on Jordan Love, I'm just spitballing here. I'm just saying like where are places we know that need quarterbacks? I could see like Denver, but Rodgers probably wants to go to Denver. I know it's one of the places he's talked about going.
I think
You
he'd go
know,
to Pittsburgh before he goes to Denver. Honestly, seeing just because the
I mean,
Broncos defense has been good, don't get me wrong, but I don't think they've been what we thought they would be. The
no,
Pittsburgh defense has been
that's
phenomenal.
do they have? Let me look at the cap for the futures next year. So where do you think Matt Ryan would go? Like, if there is there a market for him? Because I actually really like Matt Ryan, but do you think there's a market for him?
I do think there's a market for him. I don't know where he would go though. I think he could end up like Denver, for example, might want him because Teddy B's been good. He's had his moments for
Not
sure,
fantastic.
but he's not been fantastic. And I don't think Matt Ryan would be fantastic either. I don't think this is going to be a situation where, he gets to a different team and suddenly he has a whole new career. I don't think that's what it's going to be. He's 36 years old, which is not incredibly old in the league anymore for a quarterback. Brady is, 9 years old or 8 years older right now. So it can be done. But as you age, you're going to need a little bit of a better team around you to kind of compensate. Because at a certain point, Father Time will catch up to you. Brady is not very mobile. If he takes a big hit, he's going to be down a little bit longer. So, especially with Matt Ryan being built like a fence, just a fence post, he's so skinny, he will get cut in half by a big hit. So he's going to need at least a good O-line.
I believe I found a place.
Oh, okay. Let's hear it. Panthers.
Washington. No. I take him, but we have Cam. Washington.
You really think they're going to give up on Taylor Heineke? Because I think he's shown some promise.
You said it yourself. Like, he's had his moments, but he's a good backup. Like,
yes, but he also did just come out and beat the Bucks, right?
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a little bit, but that's like Brady threw 2 interceptions. Yes. Seattle, because we know that Russ wants to move out.
Well, we know he did want to move out. We don't know about that anymore.
I've heard in reports that that's why Seattle was pursuing Odell, is because they thought that if they got Odell, they could entice Russell to stay.
I haven't seen those reports, and I don't think I'm going to give those any validity till like the off season. But
yeah, I mean, I'm just looking for places that they have to fit 2 categories. They can't have a young quarterback, and they can't have a current quarterback, and or they need to have someone who's wanting to move on.
Honestly, I like the Panthers. Now that I'm thinking about it, I like him going to the Panthers. Cam's on a 1-year deal. I don't think Cam's going to impress and come back. They have to let him go because he's not going to be good. I can put my Nemeti stamp of approval on it. He will not be good.
The Texans.
Texans would be good. I don't hate that.
Yeah. Anyway, so if you, I could see him going to a lot of places, honestly, but I'd wonder about his price tag. Like, that'd be really interesting to see what his market value would be.
Yeah.
Because if it's cheap, I think you're right, the Panthers might go for it. Actually, the Panthers are probably really likely because I think they will trade anything for everything because the GM Scott Fitterer just I think he likes feeling the rush of trading picks.
Probably that's got to be what it is. Can't think of any other reason.
We do it so often.
Yeah.
I mean, he ran Seattle, and Seattle has never had a draft pick, it feels like, in forever. At least a first rounder.
I guess I have to discredit my Panthers take because they are in the same division. So I doubt they would be sending him to a division rival.
I mean, if you're the Falcons, you're gonna blow it up, right? Do you care?
Well, I mean, you gotta somewhat care. I mean, just from a football's perspective, you would rather send him somewhere else.
I guess. I mean, but if you're gonna blow it up, you're gonna blow it up.
Sure.
All right, so let's move on to the next segment. It's called Best, Worst, and Biggest Surprise. Tony and I, we do make a lot of good picks. In fact, I'd say, statistically speaking, we actually do make more good picks than we do bad picks. But you know what? We make some really bad picks sometimes, and we're going to look at some really bad picks. I know Tony's nodding his head because he knows he made a lot of bad picks.
This was a bad week.
What was your record this week, Tony?
4-8.
4-9.
4-9?
Because you got Rams wrong.
Oh my gosh. Why does every good team have to just blow it up when I pick them? Every time.
Yeah. I went 7-6, and I finally caught Tony. We are dead even at 90-60.
Unreal. This is brutal.
I don't know how I came back to be 10 picks down, but anyway.
Because all the good teams decided to suck.
That's fair. But let's look at some of the picks, and maybe we can question our chosen profession a little bit as we do look at these picks. What was your best pick of the week, Tony?
My best pick was Seahawks at Packers. I went into the week thinking the Packers would win this one by a decent margin. I didn't expect a shutout, I'll give you that, but I did expect, maybe a 14 to 20 point win just with Rodgers coming back. So
Mhm.
17 was kind of the margin I was hoping for. Well, not quite the score I would have guessed, but the margin was right.
Yeah, a shutout of Russell Wilson, even an injured Russell Wilson, is very impressive because it was the first time it's in his career
Hmm.
that he's been shut out. So I was definitely super impressed by that. I definitely was not expecting it either. I kept waiting for the Seahawks to score at
Me
least a
too.
touchdown.
I was expecting Kevin King to give up like some 85-yard touchdown to Tyler Lockett or something.
I thought the Seahawks were going to take a field goal at some point just to try to get points on the board
Yeah.
so Pete Carroll could say I wasn't shut out this time. I think my best pick was probably Chiefs at Raiders. And, it wasn't like just a lucky, Tony likes Las Vegas. I need to catch ground. I'm going to go for the Chiefs. I've said that the Raiders offense was going to struggle without Ruggs. Even the bad Chiefs defense can limit a really bad Raiders offense. Like the Raiders offense has been very poor without Ruggs. And you know what? The Chiefs did have an easier time against that Raiders defense because I think, it helps when you're a divisional team that you just know how to play your divisional opponents. I think the Chiefs came in with a bit more knowledge on how to blow up the Raiders. Kelsey, he finally had like a really outstanding game for the first time in what feels like a while. So everything came together for the Chiefs to get that big win. And they desperately needed a big win.
Yeah.
Now, that was your worst. Do you want to tell us like why you thought it was going to be the Raiders?
Well, honestly, I just had to believe in the Raiders, didn't I? I just had to believe in the Raiders. The Chiefs just had to look good. The 1 week I counted them out. I hate this season. These past couple weeks have been awful. But I think that if this was not okay, let's just be honest about it. This is not the Chiefs that we have seen all year. This is not the Chiefs. This was a totally different Chiefs.
They look fantastic.
They looked fantastic.
It was last year's Chiefs.
Yeah, I think if this is the Chiefs that we've seen throughout the rest of the season, this is a close game. I don't want to say Raiders win it, Chiefs win it. I think it's a close game. But that's why I'm hesitant to call this my worst pick, even though I'm doing it. Because this is just like you could have never guessed that the Mahomes would suddenly throw 5 touchdowns and be Mahomes again.
Yeah, I was not expecting a 41-14 margin. I was expecting the Chiefs win, but I was not expecting that margin. I mean, let's be real. Like Mahomes, I feel like he almost did. Like I feel like the Chiefs haven't learned anything this year, and that in the Raiders game, like he had that the 30-yard bomb that probably should have been an interception if the DB plays it just a little bit differently. Like I feel like he hasn't learned almost. And like this is just where the odds broke in his favor, if you will.
Yeah, I mean he did it so much last year. Like I think he still has the confidence even through it, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, if we look up the Chiefs schedule, if my Chrome would work, which
I can grab it.
If we look at the Chiefs schedule that I have right here now, there we
go.
So I don't think it was. I think it was this week. I think I saw something. Don't quote me on this, but I believe I saw something that the Chiefs Raiders game was the first game Jackson wasn't at. And I think that if I'm the Chiefs, I'm going to cut Jackson's ticket for the rest of the season we're winning a Super Bowl.
Just to see what happens.
Just to see what happens, because he's just such a distraction on the sideline. And maybe it's some sort of curse. They've finally broken it. This is the Chiefs we've been waiting for.
You know what? My dislike of TikTok is so great that I think I will jump on that bandwagon too. I'm just saying, like, I mean, the TikTok last year with Juju Smith-Schuster, like, was that a coincidence? I don't think so. Like,
yeah.
All right, my worst pick was Vikings at Chargers because I literally said because I'm picking the Chargers, the Vikings will win. And they won. Like, it was perfect. Like, I literally said,
Thank you, Tom.
This is going to happen. And it happened. Like I said, it was going to happen. I don't get either of these teams. I have a losing record against both of these teams in picking them. And it's like the Super Bowl of teams that I cannot pick. And they came together and collided in a perfect just mishap. Like, I have no idea. It doesn't make any sense to me. I don't even think I'm going to get either game ranked this weekend. Like, I have no idea.
Probably not.
No, most likely not. What was your surprise?
My biggest surprise of the week had to be Browns-Patriots. What the heck happened here? Like, I get it. The Browns are hurt. Okay, I understand. Maybe you're going to allow another touchdown or two because you're hurt. But 45-7? The
It's
Patriots
bad.
didn't hang 45 on the Falcons last night, and the Browns defense is actually supposed to be good. So what the heck happened here? I don't get it. If I don't want to say the Browns are like dead in the water, but this is a very bad game for you just mentally.
I honestly think you definitely could.
I don't want to say yet because they have had their flashes and they are injured. So as they get healthier, maybe they bring it back a little bit. You never know. But this could be the start of the dead in the water talks for the Browns.
Yeah, I mean, for that Browns game, Case Keenum had more yardage than Baker Mayfield. Like
Which is
that's something
never a
we
good
didn't.
thing.
Yeah, Case Keenum had 81 yards and Baker had 73. He had one touchdown, one interception, and the team didn't even get to 100 rushing yards. Like, I mean, you want to know
Brutal.
why? That's why. Like
Yeah.
I mean, like, look, credit to Bill Belichick, right? Like, he did exactly what he needed to. Baker is really bad against man-to-man coverage, but really
Yep.
good against zone because play action is really good against zone.
Mm-hmm.
And so, he got beat. New England outpossessed them. They outgained them in both yardage and first downs, and they didn't give up a single turnover. So
Yeah.
that's all that you need. And we saw it last night. The Patriots are good for 25 at a minimum, and their defense can give up zero. Will give up 0 points.
That
Like you
was
have to earn
definitely
everything.
like going against the Patriots defense, Belichick, that defense, which they're getting to elite category again. They're working their way back into that conversation. So I'm not so much worried about the Browns offense. I think you can kind of give them a little bit of a pass. They didn't score a whole lot. That's going to happen against Bill Belichick and the Patriots. It's the defense I'm worried about where you're giving up 45. That's the part that I am concerned about if I'm the Browns because you are supposed to have one of the better defenses in the league, and then you just get absolutely steamrolled by, albeit the best rookie quarterback, but a rookie quarterback, and it's just not a good
Picks
look
you
for them.
apart.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I know. Both Browns players and fans were unhappy with the defensive performance by the Browns, and particularly the scheme. Are the Carolina Panthers better than the Browns? Like a shameless little plug here. So I'm going to use it as a segue in a second. But the Browns gave up more points than the Panthers. They did score 1 point more than the Panthers, but they gave up almost twice the points that the Panthers did. And that was when the Panthers were rocking Sam Darnold.
Okay, right now I'm going to say yes, but absolutely not for that reason. Because it is impossible to use you gave up more points, we scored more points, because it's just so different every week. Like by that logic, every team in the league is better than every team in the league right now.
No, fair
That's
enough.
just how it works. So I would say that right now with Baker struggling, all the running backs are hurt, but D'Ernest Johnson, who's been phenomenal as a third string running back, I think that the Panthers might be better than the Browns. It's a close game if they were to play right now. Fully healthy, I'm taking the Browns, but as of right now, I think it's close.
Yeah, that's fair. I'd take the Panthers just because I think the Panthers defense is actually a legitimate defense, and I have a lot of questions about the Browns.
Yeah, that is true.
And on that note, my biggest surprise was Panthers at Cardinals because I picked the Cardinals.
Well, everybody did, in
yeah.
fairness.
I was really pleasantly surprised. It was not a bad surprise by any means. I do think that if the Cardinals are fully healthy, that's one where the Cardinals probably win it because you win by playing Colt McCoy as opposed to playing Kyler Murray. But you know what? The Panthers are back to 500, and you know what? A win is a win, right? You only can play who's on the field, and so I'll take it.
That is true.
I'll take it every time. All right, it's time to make some horrible picks and good picks, and you know what? We'll find out which are the horrible picks and which are the good picks next week.
Yeah.
All right, so our first game, it is Colts at Bills. I'm really surprised by the spread here. I'm kind of surprised that it's a 7-point spread. Do you think it's a surprising spread, or do you think like Buffalo is genuinely a touchdown better?
I'm gonna say the Bills, but I don't think it's by like a million or anything. The Colts are a good team. The Bills' biggest test is going to be if they can take Jonathan Taylor out of this game. If they can do that, they will win this game by a decent margin, not by a tremendous amount, but they do have a chance to cover if they can get Jonathan Taylor out. We've seen that teams that take Jonathan Taylor out of the game completely eliminate the Colts offense. Like the Colts offense running and passing pretty much runs through Jonathan Taylor. So if you can eliminate him, you are a very good chance to win by a decent margin.
Yeah, fair enough. I do think that the Bills will win this one. I'm not confident that they're going to win by 7. The Bills are currently 1-2 against teams who are above 500. I mean, the Colts are right at 500, so I don't know if that stat is super relevant or helpful, but I do think it's telling that a lot of the Bills' wins have come against really bad teams, and the fact that they have a losing record, and their only win is was against Kansas City on a very weird night, against a very different Kansas City team. So I am confident the Colts can cover because I don't think they can stop Jonathan Taylor, who's quietly working himself in like offensive player of the year situation and distant MVP too.
Maybe. I think
I
if
know
any
he's on
team
the
can do it,
list,
if any team can do it, it's the Bills. I mean, they do have the best defense in the league statistically
but
right now.
I know, but it's compiled against bad teams. Like
That is true.
I don't know. That's my only nitpick is that it's compiled against bad teams, and we've seen teams who are good, beat them kind of consistently. All right, let's hop on over to Green Bay at Minnesota. Green Bay, a 1-point favorite, which is really shocking to me because you'd think that based on the results we've seen, Green Bay would be a little bit more heavily favored. I'm assuming you're taking the Packers, but are you? I mean, you have to take them to beat the spread.
Yeah, I do think they beat the spread. The one thing that I will say for Vegas is if you look historically at Packers games and they're in divisional games, they do tend to keep them closer than you would think. So I don't think it's going to be a blowout. I think that trend is going to continue, but I do think the Packers should win and kind of by default cover.
Yeah, I mean, I'm honestly of the mindset of right now, hammer the Packers. Like they're a good team. Their defense is playing. It's a top 10 defense, arguably. It's a really solid defense, and if
Lineups
you're off,
actually has them at number 4.
yeah, never mind. It's a top 5 defense, and if your offense is like your worst facet of the game right now because Aaron Rodgers was kicking his rust off against the Seahawks, you're in really good shape. Actually, that's not true. Your worst facet may be special teams. They did cost you against the Chiefs, but I digress.
Yeah, we're not going to talk about that.
I digress. I do think it'll be close, but I still think that, like you said, by default, they kind of have to beat the
You
spread
kind
to
of
win.
have to go. Yeah.
All right, so let's go with Texans and Titans. That's a really could be an easy. It should be an easy game, right? But it almost feels like a trap game given the nature of the NFL season. And I keep waiting for the Titans to fall off. Do you have them falling off this week?
No, I don't. Based on how they've been playing as of late, this is the Super Bowl team that I've been talking about for a while now. I've been waiting for so long. They've disappointed me for so long. I gave up on them a little bit.
When did you write the article?
I wrote that article week 2, I believe. Week 2 or 3. It was very early in the season. We had talked about it on the podcast last year quite a bit, actually, the Titans being potential Super Bowl contenders when Julio was traded. That's about the time we started doing that. So I do think this is the Titans team that we had kind of going to the Super Bowl potentially. And if the defense could just step up, this team was going to be phenomenal. That's what we said. The defense looks like they're starting to step up. And even with Derrick Henry out, this offense has been very explosive. Julio's on IR. So that's been, they've lost essentially their 2 best players. Julio and Derrick Henry, and they're still killing it. So I do think that they aren't going to lose against the Texans if they continue to do this. They've beat the Saints and Rams in back-to-back weeks. This should be a layup.
Yeah, every NFL analyst I listened to said that if either Derrick Henry, Julio, or Brown gets hurt, one of the 3, the team will fall apart. Like maybe they can make it with 2 of them, but if they lose 2 of them, the team will fall apart. Yeah. And the team has beaten arguably 2 of their biggest challenges of the season. Granted Buffalo, but they beat them obviously, but they were completely healthy in that game. But yeah, they've really come together. My analysis of the season was that I loved the additions that they made to their defensive front 7, and my only thing was, can the secondary hold up? Because that front 7 will figure it out. And like we said, you mentioned it earlier in the podcast, Tony. A defensive unit needs about 8 weeks to figure out all their stuff. And so, we are finally seeing the Titans really hit their stride. And I guess thankfully for the Titans, they lost Derrick Henry as that defense was hitting its stride. Like I feel like the Titans coming out party, defensively speaking, was against the Colts, where they forced Carson Wentz into a pick 6.
Yeah.
So I think I agree. I don't think it'll be this week. I think if the Titans were playing somebody a little bit harder, there'd be a chance. But it's the Texans. Come on.
Yeah. Plus, I do think Ryan Tannehill is still underrated. I will say
absolutely. All right, next one. It's San Francisco at Jacksonville. This one will be ugly. I need San Francisco to play lights out. You know why? Because I did a dumb thing. I had the Patriots defense. I thought the Falcons would put up some points on them. So I held the Patriots defense and I put in the 49ers because they're playing Lawrence. They'll get a couple of interceptions. Clearly made the mistake. The Patriots had 40 fantasy points in my league. So I really need the 49ers to step up, Tony. Can they do it?
I believe they can. I think 49ers by a wide margin. This Niners team is very good. This Jags team simply is not. Lawrence is going to struggle against this strong defense. You better hope he does. And I don't think that the Jags are going to be able to get anything going. And anything they do get going, the Niners are going to be able to do twice as much.
Yeah, I mean, the 49ers are another one that really underperformed, and they're finally kind of starting to hit their stride. I mean, the fact that they beat the Rams was just flabbergasting. And it wasn't that they beat the Rams, it was that they beat the Rams. You know what I mean? Like there's a difference between beat the Rams and beat the Rams. So they beat the Rams. Yeah, I agree. I think it'll be 49ers. I think it'll be 49ers by the spread. I know Jacksonville has like kind of improved their win-loss record in recent weeks, but that's not a trend that's going to continue. All right, Baltimore, Chicago. Tony, it favors two quarterbacks you don't actually really like. So which of the quarterbacks that you don't like is going to win?
Well, I have in my notes here that I hate this game. I think Lamar is good. At best, he's good. For those people, CBS, ESPN have Lamar Jackson in their top 10 for MVP rankings. That is ridiculous. Lamar Jackson is not going to touch an MVP if he continues to play like this ever. It's not going to happen. The Bears have had ample time to prepare for him. Justin Fields looked good last game, so I really don't know what team we're going to see. I'm going to take the Ravens because I think that more often than not, the Ravens win this game. But there's a lot of scenarios where the Bears win this game too. So I don't think either team is out of this by any means.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty much identically what I have in my notes over here. I like the Ravens, but Lamar has missed practices this week. He's apparently coming off of some sort of flu. So there's a very good chance that he either will not practice today and will be incredibly limited in practice today. So that and the Bears are on a bye week. They've had multiple. I mean, can you imagine if you're the Bears and you're preparing for the Ravens and you watch them get shellacked on Thursday Night Football and you're like, oh, we're going to implement this. I honestly can't see the Bears winning. I don't want to pick it.
Part of me wants to. I picked this game last because when I saw the matchup, I was like, I had to skip it and do all the other ones first because this is like that test question that you can narrow it down and you can debate back and forth which one you think it is. It's A or B, but you just skip it until the end and you make it just future Tom and future Tony's problem.
Exactly.
Part of me wants to. You might get a text before this game starts saying I'm going to go with the Bears. You might get a text.
You know what? I will be unreachable because I'll be traveling. But how about this? We will both say, let's rip it and just go for the Bears.
Are you going for the Bears?
I'll pull the trigger on the Bears if you do.
Then I'm doing Ravens because every time you try to convince me one way, it ends up being wrong. So I'm sticking with the Ravens if you go with the Bears.
I'll go Bears.
Okay, I'm sticking with Ravens then.
I'll rip it on the Bears. You know what?
And they're going to win this week. I know it.
Yeah, probably. I'm on a hot streak right now, and the fact that my gut is telling me Bears should be significant enough that I should go for the Bears. So I'm not gonna doubt the thing that has gotten me back from being like 10 picks down, Tony. So
yeah, well, the Bears are going to win. I can just feel it. I know they're going to, but I don't want to pick it.
Okay, so the next one, Lions at Browns. This one will be ugly because both of these teams played in really ugly games. The Lions are not the losers they're not the ultimate losers, right? They will not go 0-17 and be the first team to ever do it on their first opportunity, like I think a lot of us are kind of expecting in this point in the season. Now, granted, it's not a win, it's a tie, but you know what? Like I think Dan Campbell's like a tie with heart.
With heart, yeah, that matters.
Yeah, so it's a moral victory. It's not a scoreboard victory, but it is a moral victory.
Hey, you got to walk before you can run, right? You go from win to tie, or you go from loss to tie to win.
I think that's like a crawl before you walk, before you run.
Yeah, there we go.
Like crawling is tying, walking is like winning but ugly, and then running is like
you're crawling through your losses, right? You're crawling through your losses. You can kind of stand up a little bit. You can walk to a tie, kind of finish the game. If you can run to a win, though.
You know what? I think standing up is the tie.
Just getting on your feet.
Just walking is a win. Which you know what? So the Lions are standing. Can they get the win? No.
We'll see.
Right? No, there's no way.
I mean, I'm going to go with the Browns here. I mean, congrats. The Lions got a tie. Like, there's something to be said for that. This isn't the worst thing in the world. You could have lost. only the Lions could figure out a way to go 0-16 in a 17-game season. It's just so on brand. The
I
Browns looked
love that, actually. That's so much better going 0-16 in
in a
17
17. I
games.
mean, only the Lions could figure out how to do that, and I would be so happy if
Oh
it
my
happened.
god. I
I
love
love Dan
that.
Campbell, but it'd be so funny.
I think that's even better than them going 0-17. It's the
It has to be.
poetry. Is the poetry of like football is funny, right? Like we just saw the
Yeah.
Patriots beat the Falcons by 25, which is the
Hmm.
difference in 28-3. Like there's just I think football is poetry. Like football
Yeah.
has a sense of humor.
I think it would be funnier. It'd be funnier than them going 0-17 and being the first team to do that to go 0-16 in the 17-game season. I
No,
think
I
that'd be
think
hilarious.
you're onto something. Like watch that happen.
I
So
do think that the Browns looked terrible last week, but that was against a great team, so this should be a good bounce back game for them. The
yeah.
Patriots are so much better than the Lions, so I do think that the Browns should win this one.
Currently, Chubb is up in the air, and
Okay.
so if he's healthy, the Browns will beat the spread. If
Yeah.
he's out, I'm taking the Lions to cover, which feels really bold. But like you've said in the past, Tony, like this is a really scrappy team that you
Hmm.
always got to be worried about, and a double points margin after the performance we just watched for the Browns makes me very uncomfortable. Like
Yeah.
we both had the Lions covering against the Steelers, did we
Yep.
not? Like they technically did. Like
Yeah.
it was a gambling win for us.
Yeah.
It was not a football win for anyone who had to watch it, but it was a
No.
gambling win.
Yeah, I don't think the Lions are going to get blown out, but I do think that they're going to lose, I think.
Yeah. All right, our next one. I'm very excited about it. It's Washington football team at Carolina. Carolina's a 3-point favorite. The over/under set to 43. Um, oh wow. Okay, I was surprised by your notes. Let's see it.
I'm taking the football team here, and I do think that they just had a dominant win over the Bucks. They did not have Chase Young for a decent chunk of that game, and they still did well. So I don't think that Chase Young is necessarily going to be the breaking point for this defense. I think it's a huge piece for sure that you've lost. Absolutely. It matters, but I don't think it's going to kill you. The defense is finding itself a little bit more every week. So I don't believe in Cam, and Riverboat Ron should pull this one out for me just fine because I think Cam is going to be bad.
Yeah, so I mean, I have in my notes that this is like the ultimate reunion game for the
Hmm.
Panthers franchise. It's obviously Cam's first game back in Bank of America. It's Ron Rivera's first game since being fired, in my opinion, too soon. And then, it's the Joey Sly revenge game, right? Our former kicker who
Yep.
continually missed kicks for an entire year and then got cut and has been to 7 different teams. Like, he was on the 49ers briefly. Like, I think if you went and followed his career path, like, he would probably be on 20 different teams by the time he's retired.
Yeah.
Um, so here's the thing, Tony. I like the Panthers defense to stifle a really bad Washington football offense.
Mhm.
And from what I've seen, I think that even if Cam plays poorly, I think that the Panthers offense can get the job done over the football team, particularly defense. Because look, I think Chase Young is a phenomenal player, and I think we're going to see his impact be missed on a team that's going to be more comfortable running the ball with Cam, running the ball with CMC, and running the ball with Hubbard.
Yes. I think the Panthers defense isn't nothing. Like I think that they're there. Uh, I think that Cam's going to be not great in his first game with a whole new system. I don't think he's great in general. Is McCaffrey like healthy? Healthy?
Should be
He's
as far
he's
as I
good. Good.
know. I
Okay,
haven't
so
seen
that's
any
definitely going to be
reports.
something that goes against them. But I do see the Washington football team. Their defense is kind of turning into a little bit more of what we expected them to be when we came into the season. Maybe not that good, but
It
they're
ranks
getting better.
27th.
That's for the season.
I
They're
know that's for
just
the
starting to
season.
get good, though.
But Tony, like I think we can both agree that picking off Tom Brady twice is great, but picking off Tom Brady twice is not something that you can to do it previously with 100 times thing, which you mentioned. We did that. I don't think Brady throws 2 picks 50 times in a 100 game snap. Like it's very infrequent that happens. Like in credit to the football team, right? Like they won the game. Like they did what they needed to win, but it was not a
Yeah.
pretty win by any means.
Well, it wasn't a pretty
Um,
win, but it was a win against a team that was substantially better.
no, I know, and I'm saying that I don't think that's consistent. Like I think that is
Maybe.
that's the foot look at like at this point of the season, like we have a feeling for who you are, I think. I know you can say that they've been improving, but like with the Titans, we saw flashes. Like when they played Buffalo, the defense, stepped up in big moments. So like I
Hmm.
feel like I've seen flashes from the teams that are now stepping up. Like I said that the Packers are gonna have a pretty good defense. And they've had a good defense and it's been flashing. It's been flashing, and now they shut out Seattle. So like we have seen the signs of the Packers defense improving. I have
Hmm.
not seen a single vital sign out of the Washington football team, and it's honestly a miracle that they rank better in more categories than like the Miami Dolphins.
Well, I think they're getting better, and I think this is going to be a week they continue to prove that.
I mean, yeah, I mean, look, if this were the week to do it, it's against Cam Newton. It's against quarterback that obviously Rivera knows very well and probably knows how to shut down. Like we did see that with the Cowboys, I believe. Who's their DC? Is it Smith, Arthur Smith?
I think so.
Yeah, I
I
mean the
don't remember
DC,
honestly.
the former head coach of the Atlanta Falcons is now the Cowboys defensive coordinator, and he came in and shut down Matt Ryan and humiliated the
Dan
Falcons.
Quinn.
Dan Quinn. I think Arthur Smith was Arthur. He's the new Falcons head coach. That's
Yeah.
why I was thinking of that name because I heard it 20 times on the broadcast. But yeah, I mean, like I can absolutely see it, but I feel a lot more confident in the Panthers defense than I do like Washington's defense, and I feel better in the Panthers offense than I do the Washington football team offense. So if you're going to win in two different facets, I feel really comfortable in taking the Panthers.
Yeah, I can see both teams.
Yeah. No, I agree. I'm going to lean Panthers in this one. And maybe I'll pick up a win, and it can cancel out for when the Bears get steamrolled by the Ravens.
We'll see.
All right, so next game is Dolphins and Jets. This is an AFC East battle for bottom. Like it's like they're not competing for the division anymore.
Yeah.
They're very much competing to not finish last in the division. And
Yeah, this isn't the Super Bowl; it's the toilet bowl.
If you're the Dolphins, you're competing to not get fired at this point.
Pretty
that's
much.
where the Dolphins are at. They're a 3-5 favorite on the road. It really does speak to how bad the Dolphins are that they're only a 3.5 favorite playing against a really bad Jets team. And it's not even just a bad Jets team. It's a bad Jets team with Joe Flacco. Like, they brought back Joe Flacco. No offense to Joe Flacco. He's had great years. This just ain't one.
Many years ago.
Yes, exactly.
Many moons ago, he was great.
Yeah, I think that the Dolphins probably should steamroll this because, again, they're playing Joe Flacco, and we just saw the Dolphins defense. Like, honestly, like, this is something that Campbell Jones says, masterclass. The Dolphins defense masterclass the Ravens.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Dolphins in this one, but honestly, I have no idea. I think that this looks very much like a winnable game for the Jets. This looks like a winnable game for the Dolphins. The Dolphins have just had no consistency this year at all. So, maybe they come out and they score 40. Maybe they come out and don't do anything. I have no idea.
I mean, like, this is another one where I feel like I've seen some flashes of being competitive if you're the Dolphins defense.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas, like, with Mike White, like, we did see flashes out of him, but in almost like with statistics, right? Like, there's eventually a reversion to the mean of sorts. Mm-hmm. And, a team can go from being here to just falling where they should be on the expected mean, or they can overcorrect to fall to the mean, right? Yeah. Mike White overcorrected, so I think he was incredibly overperforming.
Absolutely.
So that's why he's obviously not starting. And if your best option on the roster is Joe Flacco, you're not in a good spot. So I'm definitely taking the Eagles. I'm going to definitely take the Dolphins. And as I almost said by almost saying Eagles, you can kind of guess what our next matchup is. It's the Saints and Eagles. Eagles are favored by 2, which is really surprising to me. Which feels really crazy.
Well, I don't know if Vegas saw this coming, but there actually is some breaking news coming out of Philadelphia right now. Philadelphia and tight end Dallas Goedert have agreed to a 4-year, $57 million contract extension.
Wow. Okay.
So I do think that at $35 million guaranteed as well. That is coming out of Mike Garofalo, Ian Rappaport. That's on the NFL official app, so it's good to go.
Legit, yeah.
Clip it and ship it. So I do think that they got their weapon back, which I didn't know was in contention at all. To be perfectly honest with you, I don't think Philadelphia should be favored in this one. I think the Saints are going to win. I don't think the Eagles are a bad team, but the Saints just are kind of better on paper.
How much was that for Goedert?
It was $57 million, 35 guaranteed, 4 years.
So this will be interesting. Tell me if you think that this is a good deal still. Do you think it's a good deal right now?
Well, if it's a good deal right now, here's the weird thing about tight ends is, and I think this is starting to come to light, is they are so underappreciated. Like, they're basically asked to block the same guys as an O-line, but catch like a receiver in a lot of situations. So they kind of have to be a morph of both of those positions, but until recently, they haven't really gotten credited for it. And I think like National Tight End Day has been a huge thing for tight ends. Like, it's brought a lot of awareness. I love National Tight End Day. The easiest game The easiest day in the world to game plan for as a defensive coordinator because you know the tight end's going to get it a lot more than usual. It happens every year, and I don't know how it works. But I do think that maybe this is a little bit overvalued for Dallas Goedert. Statistically, he's put up good stats for a tight end. Like, he's not bad by any means. I don't know if he's $57 million good, but I also don't know how good he is at blocking. So, blocking something you can't pick up on the stat sheet. You just have to game analyze to find that. And that is extremely
Exactly.
valuable if you can get a tight end that can block and put up these kind of stats. Then I think it's worth it. But he would have to be a very good blocker, and he might be. So I don't know I can't say if this is a good deal or not. I don't know Dallas Goedert that well. But just based off stats alone, I would say not really.
Okay, so let me give you Travis Kelce's ELO, and
Okay.
I want you to tell me where you think Goodard's at comparatively speaking. So Travis Kelce is a 74.38.
I'm going to guess Goddard's in the 40s.
Oh, shit, you've gotten so good at understanding where the model evaluates players. It's kind of scary. Do you want to get more specific than the 40s? Because I think you're going to get it right if you do. Low or high?
I think it's going to be low.
Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4.
3.
Okay, by rounding, you technically get it. If you round it, it'd be 43. If you don't round it, it's 42.5.
Hey, rounding. That's what math taught me. That's the rules.
Exactly.
I got it right.
Rounding the nearest one. So, yeah, I'm in agreement. I think that the Saints defense is going to probably shut down a very good Eagles rushing attack.
Mm-hmm.
And it's arguably one of the strengths of the Eagles is that they are kind of a very diverse attacking offense and they have a good rushing attack. I believe last time I checked, it was like top 5 in the NFL.
Yeah.
And it's it's pretty good against Denver. But no, I think Trevor Siemian, he's not played bad. Right?
No.
If you thought that if you wanted to know why New Orleans was in a slump and you just looked at just the win-loss column, you'd say it's that they're playing a backup quarterback. He's actually statistically performed pretty well. So
yeah, he's not been bad by any means whatsoever.
Yeah. So I'm going to take the Saints here. I think this is a good get-right game for him, although I do think that Philly makes it very close. Let's hop on over to the next one. It's Bengals-Raiders. I'm going to take this as I don't want to pick. Let's hear your take first.
I'm going to go with the Raiders again. I do think that Deshaun Jackson now has had an extra week to learn the offense and not be a moron. If he can figure out how to take a ball that will definitely be a touchdown and not make it into a turnover, that would be awesome. So I think that if he can figure out how to do that, then the Raiders team should get going a little bit. I do think that Deshaun Jackson is one of those players where one big play and your offense now has some momentum, and that can change the entire game. So I think he's aged. He's not as fast as he once was, but he's still fast. He can get down the field. So I think that was also a fluky play from him. I don't want to bash him too hard. He does have a track history of success. So I do think that the Raiders are going to win this one. This could be a huge get-right game for the Bengals, though, as well. So I don't know. We'll see.
So I took the Bengals because one thing that we've really noticed about the Bengals is that they have an average offense, but the one area of weakness is their passing defense. But I think if you're the Bengals, this is probably the best version of the Raiders you'd want to play if your passing defense is your major flaw. So I'm going to take the Bengals. I don't feel great about it, but I think Jamar Chase has a bit of a breakout game after they were really just kind of exposed by Cleveland.
Yeah.
All right, let's hop on over to the next one. This one is really good. I think this one is going to make some people money. It's Dallas at Kansas City. Kansas City is a 2.5 favorite. The over-under is 56.5. I don't get it at all. I don't get it.
I have no idea. I would bet $1,000 on this game right now, comfortably.
If I had money, I would.
Oh, yeah.
I'm a college student. I'm broke. That's why I'm here. I kid. But they have – the Cowboys have the better defense. We've seen night in and night out, the Cowboys have a complete roster. Again, Cooper Rush beat the Vikings. Come on, Vikings. I don't get it. I don't get the Vikings. But the Cowboys have a very complete offensive roster that Cooper Rush can step into comfortably. And we just saw the Cowboys defense humiliate the Atlanta Falcons. That was an ugly game to watch.
Yeah.
So give me the Cowboys, hammer the Cowboys. And I do think that this one probably hits the under.
Really? My one definite, the most definite takeaway I have was hammer the over on this one, just because.
So hear me out. So if you're the Cowboys, I think your strategy to attack the Chiefs is to run the ball. first and foremost, and then you attack the secondary, right? Like I think Sorensen is a really bad secondary piece. So I think you try and really outpossess the Chiefs, right? Like what's the best way to keep to stop the Chiefs, right? It's to possess the ball, it's to run the ball. Who has two better running backs to run the ball on a bad running offense? I mean, bad running defense with a good offensive line. It's the Cowboys. Run the ball when possible, and then hit up Sorensen for the explosive play when you really need it. And then your defense is going to minimize the Chiefs. I think that the Chiefs we saw against the Raiders are kind of a fluky one-off, and I think that the Cowboys have a much better defense than the Raiders. So I actually would take the under.
I'm going to take the over on this one. I'm going to take the Cowboys to win, more complete roster, yada yada, all that, same as you.
All the good
but
stuff.
I'm going to hammer the over here because I actually wrote my article, my game pick on this was the game that I wrote my article on. So I think if Mahomes shows up again, the Chiefs likely score between 24 and 30 points. I think, this defense, no problem. This defense is fantastic. Absolutely. But if Mahomes shows up again and this offense gets rolling,
a huge if though, Tony.
That's a huge if, but
if.
That's a huge if. But if the past 2 seasons have taught you nothing, it's that you don't bet against Mahomes. He just simply can't. He's one of those players, and he has not been good this year.
The past season has taught me to bet against.
He's
Mahomes.
Second in touchdowns. He is second in the league in touchdowns.
First in interceptions.
That's true, but he's second in touchdowns, which means he can score a lot of points.
It means he can score a lot of points, and he could also get stopped by a good defense.
This is true, but even if they score, let's say they score 17 to 20. Let's say the Mahomes doesn't show up, throws a touchdown or two. They only get 17, 20, 21 points, somewhere in there. Dak and Zeke may very well combine for 6 or 7 touchdowns in this game. Like, I don't think that they're going to run the ball that much, honestly. I think that they're going to let Dak go, and they're going to let Zeke go as well. But I think both of them are going to have a heyday on this team. So we could very well see the over be covered in the third quarter. If this is one of those affairs where Mahomes shows up and that Chiefs offense shows up even halfway, I know the Cowboys offense is going to show up. So the Chiefs don't have to do that much to hit the over on this one.
Well, like I said at the top of the show, like this totally could be a fireworks like Rams Chiefs 2017 game where like they score over 100 points combined, I think, and it's like literally one of the greatest games I've ever watched in my life live.
Yeah.
And I literally like if I'm ever feeling sad and I want to watch like really good football in the off season, that's the game I pull up because it's basically the equivalent of football drugs.
Yeah, it's pretty much.
So like I get what you're saying, but I feel like they're just very different teams. So
they absolutely are, but I do think it's going to be fireworks.
Yeah, I mean it could be, and I hope it is, right? Like I'm definitely not betting against a game that's fireworks. I'll never bet against one of those. I think that the recipe is there for this game to be an absolute under. But anyway, we talked that one a little bit to death. Let's hop on over to another a divisional game that's kind of important for the division. It's Arizona at Seattle. Arizona's the 2-point favorite. The over-under sets at 47.5. Arizona, obviously, because of the fact that the San Francisco 49ers like to steal your money, I guess, when you're gambling on them.
I guess.
They beat the Rams, so now the Rams are a game behind the Cardinals, and the Cardinals possess the head-to-head tiebreaker. So the Cardinals could really open up a divisional lead here by getting a win over the Seahawks, whereas the Seahawks desperately need this win. They're 3-6. They trail the 49ers, and if they want to get in the wild card, it is win-out mode. So they need this one. And who do you think gets this one? Because I think the Cardinals want it, but the Seahawks need it.
The Seahawks need it for sure, but I think the Cardinals, they're going to start to get healthy again. I think this is the week we see Murray and maybe Hopkins play. So even if they're not 100%, them playing is going to be huge for this team. So I think the Cardinals should beat a team, even not fully healthy, that just got goose-egged by the Packers. Now, the Packers obviously beat the Cardinals themselves injured, so I don't think that the Cardinals are, this albeit transcendental team that everybody thought they were in the first couple of weeks. Yeah, big words over here, college student. So I do think that finally getting healthy again for the Cardinals should make it so that this team is good again. I'm not going to say they return to their, undefeated form where they just run through teams. I think we've seen the end of that for the Cardinals, but I do think they can beat the Seahawks.
So here's my thing, is that I think the Packers almost, not that they didn't earn it, right? They absolutely earned it with the takeaways, but I think that they almost got a little bit lucky. Like I think to get a shutout, you do need a little bit of luck, right? Like you need everything to go against the team. So I think that they got lucky because Russell Wilson was injured, and so he's not 100% right. It was his first return to game and return to play in over a month. So that's why I think the Packers got a shutout. I do think this one will be closer, but I think that inevitably Arizona's probably going to win this one.
Well, I mean, yeah, but okay, Russell was out for about a month, like you said. But the dude was still playing, breaking those huddles, the air huddles out in the field.
Okay.
That's as good as any experience in the game. All right, and I can't take that from him.
No, you're right. I mean, he definitely he was less rusty than he could have been otherwise.
Yeah, he was more Russell than Rusty.
Yeah. All right. The next game is Pittsburgh at Chargers. The Chargers are a 5.5 favorite, which feels really surprising to me, given that the way that these two teams have kind of moved up and down, and the fact that the Chargers are on a bit of a decline, and the Steelers are on a bit of an incline. So I'm taking the Chargers, but I am taking the Steelers to cover because I think that Steelers defense is probably going to kick a little bit of Herbert butt, which hurts as like a Chargers believer to
A Herbert
say.
fan.
Yeah, I mean, a Herbert fan first and foremost. Like we both fell in love with this team in the offseason and thought they had everything that we needed, and we were like, oh my gosh, they're proving us right, and they've fallen off. They lost to the Vikings. I don't need to get on that again. But this will be a great primetime game. But I think that it'll be really close and might even be low scoring because the Steelers can't score to save their lives.
Yeah.
Look at the Lions, right? They probably should have scored more than 16 against the Lions
that is true.
with overtime, mind you. Whereas the Chargers, they've struggled and they're going to be going against a hard defense.
Absolutely. I'm going to take the Chargers, but I don't like it. I think they've really fallen off since the beginning of the season. Like you said, towards the beginning, we had kind of joked in the offseason, Justin Herbert MVP, Chargers win the Super Bowl. And at the beginning of the season, both of those takes were alive and well for the first
really
4 weeks. Like they looked really good. And since then, they have both kind of just fallen off the face of the earth. I think the Steelers is going to give them a tough time. But like you said, that offense is just going to be too bad. I do think the potential is there for either team to win, but I don't love the odds if I am a Pittsburgh fan.
Yeah, I mean, do we know if Big Ben is expected to play in this one?
I honestly don't think it matters. You put Mason Rudolph in there, you put Big Ben in there. I think they're both the same quarterback at this point.
I know we had this kind of discussion, last weekend. I do think that Roethlisberger being in there makes a bit of a difference, just because if you have if you see Mason Rudolph playing a bad defense like the Lions, and he only puts up a Ben Roethlisberger stat line, that would indicate to me where Roethlisberger has gone against harder defenses that he probably would have an easier time against the Lions, if that makes any sense.
If Roethlisberger were in against the Lions, maybe he has a slightly better stat line, but I think it's marginal.
But I think marginal matters in a tie.
Marginal does matter in a tie, but like for this week, I don't think this is not a tie game.
No. I was saying like last week.
Yeah, last week for sure, but this week I don't think it really matters that much if you put Roethlisberger and Mason Rudolph in there, given that Rudolph's stat line last week. If he continues that, I think these are kind of the same guy.
Maybe we'll hopefully, I guess not hopefully, but like if Rudolph does play, I guess we'll get a little bit more data to talk about.
Yeah.
That. On the Chargers note, while you were talking, I looked up. So in week 5, 538 gave the Chargers a 10% chance of winning the Super Bowl. They have less than 3% chance right now. So like it was not just us that thought, the Chargers would go crazy.
And
all right,
quick note, another breaking news. Cliff Kingsbury just ruled out DeAndre Hopkins for Sunday's game versus Seahawks, and Kyler Murray will be a game day decision.
Are they going to miss 3 weeks?
Maybe they are out because Kyler Murray's injury to me looked like he'll miss maybe a practice or two, but he'll probably be in next week. Like he won't be 100%,
but he'll be in there.
And that's what it keeps looking like every week. DeAndre Hopkins, same thing. Like he had a hurt hamstring, came in against the Packers, hurt it on that deep ball over Eric Stokes, I think it was, and he's been out ever since. He never came back from that, and he kind of he limped off the sideline, which is you expect that in a re-aggravated hamstring injury, but this seems way more major if they're already ruling him out so soon. I mean, it is only Friday, and it's been 3 weeks now, so that's not a good sign for him.
Not at all. So with Hopkins, the Cardinals, my Zelo model gave the Cardinals a really good chance to win. I believe it was about 70%. Let me double check. I don't want to give you guys bad figures. Yeah, so it's a 72% chance to win. But now that has dropped to 62%. And if you were to remove Kyler Murray, I believe it would then start favoring Seattle pretty heavily. Let me
Yeah.
double check. Yes, it would. It would indeed start favoring Seattle really heavily. So that's not at all concerning for Cardinals fans.
Oh boy.
I can't imagine you'd be missing your star players for 3 weeks in a row. That feels crazy to me.
That's unless it's something like major.
Like, is it just the fact that they have the luxury of
Do they?
you know what I mean? Like, well, if you start off that hot, like if
Well,
you're
it
an
doesn't
eight.
matter how you start. It matters how you end. And if you lose
No,
all your
but
momentum in the
I
middle,
think
you
what
can't get that
I
back.
think what they're prioritizing is that hey, we have a massive lead on our division. Um,
Do they?
so why would okay, not massive, but they already have a game, and it's technically a game and a half because they have the head to head over the Rams.
Correct.
They are still jockeying for like this. I believe they would currently be the second seed if the playoffs were today. I think they're prioritizing health over like the difference of being the second or third seed. I
I
think if
mean,
they beat
maybe,
that,
but that's a lot of weeks to have your guys out. Your
I
two
think.
best guys.
Oh, hear me out. If you beat the Packers, it's a little bit different
Hmm.
because then I think they'd be more worried about keeping pace with the Packers. But they already know that they're probably not going to catch the Packers because the Packers have that head to head. So I
Hmm.
think they're prioritizing the difference between being 2, 3, or 4 is incredibly marginal. If we can be a healthy 3 or a healthy 4 instead of an incredibly injured 2, let's take being the healthy 3 or 4 because we believe that we're still better than 5, 6, and 7.
Maybe.
That
Well,
is
it
a
might
theory, I
work.
suppose. Yeah, we'll never know. I do agree that they have lost momentum. Cam Newton stole their momentum. All right, last game, Monday Night Football. This one should probably be an ugly one. But the last time these two teams did play, it was incredibly close, which is weird. So the Giants are at the Buccaneers. Tampa Bay is a 10.5 favorite with the over-under set to 49.5. I think this could be a trap game.
I think it is 100%.
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't. I'm going to take the Bucks. I'm not going to say the Giants win this game, but I don't think the Bucks win by that much because I'm just going to say it. This Bucks team truly is not very good. Like they're just not.
Yeah,
They've lost
I
or
mean they've
been
been
within
injured.
one possession of losing to some. They've been very close to some teams that they definitely should not have been that close to. On paper, they should be blowout wins, and I'm not going to say like, oh, this Bucks team should be 17-0. Anything less is disappointing. But they haven't been like that firepower team. Like you re-signed every single person from your Super Bowl winning team, and you're not winning by all that much. Like it doesn't look like it's paying off that much right now. Now maybe they get to the playoffs, they get hot like they did last year, and they win out. If that's the case, regular season doesn't matter. Who cares?
It really does.
But
Yeah.
if I'm a bettor, this could be a great game to bet on the upset for.
I mean, I know a while back we did say like the Chiefs will win this game. There is no way the Chiefs won't win this game, but the Giants will cover, and that's exactly what happened because we're good at our jobs. But
Arguably.
okay, I'd like to think we're good at our jobs, and
I
that's
would
evident.
too.
That is evidence on the floor. On the contrary, we literally do a segment that gives people evidence to the contrary. But I don't want to talk about that right now. I think they could cover, but I am going to take Tampa in a rebound game because I think that the Washington football defense is much better, at least in the turnover department, the turnover forcing department, than I think the Giants are.
Mhm.
Let me verify that really quick before I say something really dumb.
It's
Um,
just it's the weirdest thing because okay, yes, the Bucks are 6-3 right now. They're currently first in the NFC South. But if you look at their games, they were within 3 of losing to the Cowboys. They were 2 within losing to the Patriots. They were 6 within losing to the Eagles. They lost to Washington and Saints in back-to-back weeks. Like this is just not a team that has been as good as they frankly should be.
no, absolutely, I think that's fair. And actually, I am wrong. The Giants are better at forcing turnovers. Um, I personally I like the Washington football defense on paper more than I do the Giants defense. So that's why I have Tampa Bay getting right. I do think 10.5 is enough for the Giants to cover, but I'm going to take Tampa Bay to cover
Mhm.
because I think Brady's going to take a rebound game. I think this is the
Maybe.
rebound game. This is a pretty good I think Tom Brady in prime time is going to take a rebound game and going to beat the Giants. But I can totally be wrong.
Potentially. We'll see.
All right, but that's our show, everybody. You're not going to see me next week, and it'll be up to Tony and Tanner to see if they're going to come on next week for the holiday. But I'll see you guys in 2 weeks. I'll be traveling, but I hope you have a wonderful Thanksgiving, a wonderful break, and enjoy lots of football Thanksgiving. I know I will
Uh-huh.
be.
Absolutely.
All right, see you, Tony.
See you
See you,
guys.
everybody.
We'll see you soon, Tom.